Oh my gosh. Hello, and basically, hello, my beautiful friends, and welcome to Arlocast episode 13. Today's show is a celebration of all things scary and evil. Not really, not true, just not true at all. It's a normal episode, but I will see you in 653 episodes when I get to make this joke again. Our first guest today is a fellow Nintendoman. A fellow Nintendo videoman. He's the normal guy with the epic name. Please welcome Zion Grassl. Hello, Zion.
Whoa, hey, it's really me. Oh man, I didn't know if that was. I didn't know. I didn't know. Did you know, Arlo, that 13 is my favorite number?
Is it really?
Yeah, this means a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome. I planned this. I knew that. You really do. That is an epic name. You know that, right? Like.
I mean, I guess it just causes me more trouble in the end, I guess. But I do like it. Like, growing up, I hated it. There was, around the time I was playing Resident Evil 4, when I was at like 13 or 14, I wanted to be Leon so much that I think I wrote it on a few school papers. And
you just changed the one letter and suddenly it's a little more average, I guess.
I think that was the idea. I think I was just like, Leon's so cool, and no one's going to mess that up, because substitute teachers would always get it wrong, and so would even classmates, and it's not their fault. It should be Zion, but
I always thought it was Zion. Is Zion the actual, like, the real name? Is it always Zion? It's never been Zion, or is that just you?
No, I feel like I'm like throwing my mom under the bus whenever I say this, and I feel like this. I'm so sorry if this is taking up time now, but
do it.
But yeah, I think she found it in a book and was like, "That's a cool name. That's what I want his name to be. I want it to be Zion." And it's still a fairly uncommon name, but in the 90s it was like even less common, Oh
yeah.
And so I don't think there was a pronunciation guide, or like the internet wasn't there to be like, are you sure? And so, that's what I have. Yeah. So I just feel like sometimes I feel bad when like the other day I met at the grocery store, I met a Zion, but he spells his name Zeon, and I was like, that's great. I'm so happy. But like, also when I meet Zions and I'm pronouncing it this way, like I'm just doing them I'm messing up their life if someone hears mine and then they go to meet them and they're like, what do I do anymore? What?
They're like, wait, am I supposed to be Zion? Oh no.
Yeah. So I don't know. But thank you. I'm glad you like it, because I love it nowadays. But gosh,
I do. It's awesome. It's epic.
Growing up, I hated it. Thank you.
And Zion, please remind everyone what it is you do.
Oh yeah. So I do videos Monday through Friday for Nintendo Life. I've been doing them for like 2 years now, I think, with the lovely people John and Alex themselves. And yeah, we have a good time talking about retro stuff, new Switch things, doing Switch reviews, and yeah, pretty much just all Nintendo stuff all the time. Sometimes Sega, but usually just Nintendo. Don't tell anyone.
Very good. You all do a wonderful job.
Well, thank you.
So our second guest today marks an impressive first for Arlocast. Out of all our guests, this is the first one that I've never met and I know nothing about. Please welcome Sky Flores, a.k.a. Skyward Wing. Hello, Sky.
Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm so glad to be here.
Yes, no, I mean it. Like, I don't know who you are. Who are you?
Our initial conversation was literally about getting on the podcast, and I was like, sure, I'd be interested in doing that. And I think that's all we've said so far.
No, that's it. No, I was like tweeting about how I didn't have a guest for today, and you were just kind of like, I'd do it, and I'm like, okay.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, no, I appreciate.
I'm like, this guy streams Pokemon stuff. There you go. Boom. Get him on the show.
I've been super into it lately. Like going into Unite and like Brilliant Diamond and Pearl are coming out soon. So like I'm trying to catch all the Pokemon right now. Like all of them, all like 800 to 900 of them.
I saw that. Yes. So you're doing that across multiple games, right? Like you just kind of like.
Yes.
Just kind of the act of catching each individual one, and like you're streaming the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm also creating my own like Pokedex, where every entry I have to try and create a blurb for each individual Pokemon. It has been difficult. I'm only caught maybe 40 of them, and I'm already running out of things to say.
Wow.
So we'll see when I reach the 900s what could possibly come out of my brain by then.
Wow, that's awesome. And you know what? This actually is a real first. I think you like Twitch is your main thing, right? Like you're a streamer. That's like your thing.
Yes.
So there you go. That's another first. We've not had a dedicated streamer on the podcast before.
Yeah, no, I used to do YouTube a while back. I kind of took a break from it because, YouTube, you know how it is.
I do. We do.
So I've been focusing predominantly on Twitch. I do like variety of games from Nintendo to Sony. Like I'm a little bit all over the place. Yeah.
That's awesome. So current projects. So you're catching all the Pokemon. Looks like you've been streaming a lot of Unite. Are you pretty competitive in Unite, or are you just kind of doing it for fun?
I would say I just play with my viewers. Like we get like it's so easy to set up a lobby in that game. Like, thank goodness that there's a Nintendo game that makes it easy, because they always kind of have like this archaic system in play. But you could just send invites. It's so easy. We get a couple games in. It's one of those quick, like maybe I could play 1 or 2 a day and then not feel bad about wasting my time or doing, it's really great. I casually, big casual fan for that.
Yeah, that I did. I played the game for a while because I wanted to make a video on it, and it's slightly awkward because I think the video that I'm going to make is really super duper critical, but I need everyone to know I don't hold anything against anyone who plays the game because the game itself is actually really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm assuming you mean like the whole 10-cent microtransaction.
The monetization and all that stuff. So it's just I got everyone to know before it comes out. Like, it's cool that you play it. I like that you play it. No, it's a fun time. So what else you got going? Tell us more about yourself. Let's do it. Oh, no, I forgot to do the thing. Let's talk about our guests. You gotta do the thing for the song, the little song at the beginning. Tell me, what are you? Tell us about Sky. What are your hopes and dreams?
Sky, are you a 7-foot-tall monster?
Are you a 7-foot-tall monster like me?
Me?
Yeah.
I am gonna say no. I am I'm one of those people that's like 5'11", but say they're 6 feet because no one wants to hear all that,
That's me with 4 feet. I never quite hit 4 feet.
Yeah, that's a smart idea. I think I just always tell people I'm 5'10", but I should change that,
round
shouldn't
up.
I?
Just round up. Yeah.
6 foot maybe sounds intimidating to me. Maybe that's why I've never
I'm going to round up to 12.
just straight away.
There are people who will point that out. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm from New York City. I also work in games journalism. I write game guide articles for Screen Rant,
really?
which has been pretty dope. I've been
That's
there
awesome.
for about 2 years now. While I do Twitch, and I'm trying to dabble into getting back into YouTube again in a more casual manner where it's not so mentally taxing, but something that's fun, something that I could just keep making really fun stuff. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we're glad to have you on. You already, I'm getting a good vibe from you.
Thanks.
You already feel like a good fit.
Yeah, we already talked about the game I was playing last night before the podcast even started.
That's true, we were, but we got to save that for the end. We got to save that for what you've been playing.
Oh yeah, my lips are
can't wait
sealed
for it.
now we got them. See now anyone's gonna be like, what's that game?
What were they playing? What were they talking about? Oh man,
You'll find out what we were playing.
You'll find out soon. But first, what's in the news? So, not a super exciting news week. It's definitely slow. We're hoping it's the calm before the storm. Fingers crossed for a direct next week. Very much crossed. Maybe even announced by the time this goes live. Who knows? Like Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe. But not a lot. Anybody else want to, Xeon, you got any news stories you want to hit on?
Well, I hate to admit this, but I had a crazy busy week in a good way. Just lots of things going on. So I heard about some of these direct rumors and stuff, but I have no idea where they came from. I don't know when things are supposed to happen. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants right now. So can you give me and anyone else who's unaware like a quick refresher of there's a direct coming-ish, maybe?
I don't think there's any actual solid evidence. It's just that September, out of basically all the months, September is the one that's been really consistent. Even last year when we didn't have directs, I think even the Mario Direct was in September. But pretty much September is a solid direct month. And since they've been back on a normal schedule, we had E3, we had February, it just kind of, and they usually do it the middle of the month. They announce them on certain days. So like if there was one this month, it would be next week.
Sure, that's fair. I guess for me, it still feels like the Direct was like yesterday, I think.
It really does, yeah. It went fast.
Yeah, like I remember thinking about, like that there wasn't, that they didn't like, they threw some Zelda stuff in there, and then they came out and like Eiji Aonuma was like, oh, well, we're not going to be having any more big celebrations for Zelda. But I really thought that, that this September was going to give us a big Zelda Direct, and then, Eiji and Aonuma went and crushed those hopes and dreams, if you will. But okay.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Okay, that's cool. Well, I guess, did you have a story you wanted to start off with?
Sky, how about you? Let's do guest first. New guest first.
I would say, I think the most recent thing has been the new Warioware game. I think recently just dropped.
Yeah.
It looks really fun. I did not anticipate how multiplayer centric this one would be. I adored the one on the GameCube. Like, I would play the Mega Party Edition for hours as a kid. Like, I was there all the time, and just I'm excited because I skipped out on the Wii U one. I skipped out on the Wii one. This is definitely one I'm looking into getting again. But it looks really fun, especially also Wario took over Nintendo's Twitter yesterday.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, no, they got his voice actor and everything to say like Twitter stinks. It's great. I was like, oh, they put that on that.
Twitter stinks. I'm out of here. Oh, it was good.
I feel like that quote, just that Twitter stinks, is gonna like live on forever in memes, and I hope people just like take advantage of that in videos and just use it for good. Make the world a better place with that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm not. I probably won't play it. I considered reviewing it, but I think I'm just not enough into the series. I don't know. What about you, Zion? Are you playing the WarioWare?
Yeah, so I'm kind of in between a bunch of games right now, so I haven't played it as much as I would like, but I do have a copy, and I played. I didn't review it myself for the channel, but I did get to play it early and got some footage and stuff, and I played the demo, and so I'll say before I played the demo, I was nervous because the last, I guess the WarioWare that we got on 3DS was kind of like a big compilation of some of the best Wario games or WarioWare mini games, at least from what I've heard. I've never played it, and then Game & Wario on Wii U was just kind of like a bunch of bigger mini games, but kind of with like Wario slapped on top of it all. So it wasn't really like a true WarioWare game. So I was kind of hoping that if WarioWare came back, it would be a brand new thing, but completely in line with the original like feelings and styles of the game. And so when the trailer dropped and I saw that you're controlling a character on screen, I was like, this stinks. This is not how I want to play WarioWare. Like, I want to be able to play with touch controls. Like, for once in a game, that's how I want to play. But then I actually played the demo and loved it. It's so fluid, and playing the different characters, because I think you can choose between 15 or 20 different characters to play as, and you can rotate them between mini games. But it really kind of, it brings a unique variety to each of the mini games, because I think there comes a point in WarioWare where you master a mini game. The point is that you try to master, I think, as many as you can within a certain set, and then you just see how many of those you can do. But the twist now is that not only do you have to master the mini games, you also have to master the idea of how to play each of those games with the character that you're quickly given. And so that can be kind of a struggle at first, because like one character might not be able to jump, or another might not be able to shoot, but they can jump and like ram their body into things to make things happen. And so you have like a second that you see the character, and then you have a second to like kind of grasp or a few seconds, I guess, to grasp what the mini game's goal is. And so it adds this like extra layer to this already frantic game. And I think the more I play it, the better I'm going to get at it. Because I kind of suck at it right now. Can I say that? I stink at it. That's better.
Yeah, we'll allow it.
But I'm really enjoying it. I just haven't played a ton yet. But I think anybody who wants like a new WarioWare game, I think they'll be fully satisfied, maybe even more. And I haven't played co-op yet either. I've just done single player. But
yeah, it kind of sounds like, from just about everyone that I have seen like talking about the game, it's pretty much like the concept on paper is like kind of worrisome because of how different it is, but then like they see footage or they play it and they're like, yeah, but it really works though. It sounds like they just really nailed the execution. You know, they took a gamble and it sounds like it really paid off. Like I haven't seen anybody just disappointed in it, you know?
Yeah, it's incredible how smooth the gameplay is. I think I was originally worried too that even when we first saw the trailer, I was so focused on the fact that like, is this going to be playable on a TV that, then when the characters, then when I watched the trailer again and saw the characters, I was like, oh no, I guess, that must've been the point, or maybe a big point as to why they added characters in too, was so that way you don't have to worry about pointing your Joy-Con at the TV to make up for, finger swipes or things like that as well. Cause we know that's not always fun. I've played The World Ends With You on Switch, beginning to end, and I love that game and series to death, but it could be better. And so yeah, I think this was a great route to go for them control wise. But what were you gonna say, Sky?
No, I was saying like you just reminded me of the World Ends With You Switch port, and I'm not a fan either. Yeah. I remember playing it, and it doesn't translate as well as it should. When you play like on docked, but yeah, I was just like, no. Mm-mm.
It's really funny seeing Nintendo, like we spent so many years them adapting things to have the motion controls and be touch and pointer and stuff. And it's kind of weird seeing them step it back. And now they made another system that's supposed to be able to be played on the TV. And now they're like, even Warioware, like it started out as like touch controls and motion controls. And now they're like, well, now we got to kind of move in the other direction. How do we make a WarioWare game you play with a controller? It's weird.
I mean, they did in the GameCube. There was a WarioWare on the GameCube.
Was there?
And yeah, it was like it's really niche, but it's really fun. That's like the one I played religiously as a child. Like I was definitely so involved.
I had no idea. What, really?
Yeah, no, it's Mega Party Games, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
But I just remember the box art is blue. At least in the US.
Yeah,
but
it has a really bright blue, like it's hard to miss kind of box art.
Yeah, I think I remember that one now. I guess, okay, it does make sense though, because wasn't the very first WarioWare just on GBA, right? Mm-hmm. And that was just like touch, or not touch control. That was just like button controls. So I guess, yeah, it's true. It really flourished when it came to motion controls, but it didn't necessarily start there.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I'll talk to like it wasn't my first introduction to the series, because I think on this is really, really weird and obscure, but the Nintendo GameCube preview disc was like a demo disc. I don't know if either of you remember that. You could buy it in a store. It was $10, and it came with demos for Splinter Cell, Sonic Adventure DX, Beautiful Joe, Soul Calibur. I think there was something else in there too, but I can't remember what. But then there was also, you could download a version of Dr. Mario, and when I say download, you could like transfer it to your GBA. But then you could also download the WarioWare demo, and you could transfer that to your GBA too. And so that was the first place I ever played the series. But then the one I played the most was the Smooth Moves on the Wii, and I loved it. But I talked to so many people at the same time that are also like, the motion control sucked. But I had so much fun with that, like the cut the rope mini games where you're running and like. Someone has to randomly play it. I think you're also passing the Wii remote back and forth between each other, so that adds like an extra layer of madness and chaos to everything. But so it's cool to hear like Arlo, what was did you have a first WarioWare? I know you said you're not as into the series, but
I don't think I've ever really sat down and played one. I think I got the one on the Wii U. Just because like they were really generous with like my Nintendo points, and they gave away a lot of free games, and I got that for free, and I messed around with it. And it's not even a real WarioWare game. No, I've really never just actually played one more than just like picking them up for a few minutes at a game store or something.
Well, at a convention, I think that our reviewer PJ basically said that this game is like he basically said it's an essential purchase for Switch owners. And I do think that like in a cooperative setting or even a family setting, there's so many different mini game modes. Like Sky, I think I haven't played much of the GameCube one, but I've watched a friend play it, and I think there's there's a few mini games I think, or not mini games necessarily, but like modes, multiplayer modes that are based on some of the ones from the GameCube. I would look into that before before trusting me on that, like 100%. But from what I remember seeing, I think there's some that tie back to that, and so I think like at a convention like Arlo, and Sky, like if we ever get to hang out, we absolutely have to play this game together if we have the chance.
It's probably a blast, like with other people. Like I have no doubt about that.
Oh yeah, it's 4-player too. It's not just two. Like I think that the campaign is 2-player co-op, but I think the multiplayer modes open it up to 4 as well. So
that's really cool.
Yeah, no, back on the GameCube version of the game, they had kind of like a. You mentioned how you could share the Wiimote. They had something where you could have up to 16 people playing at a time. Like you pass the controller.
That's cool.
I vividly remember this. This is kind of like a little, maybe a little sad story. Like I was a kid and I would play alone, and I would try and play as all 16 people at once. Just to like feel that out. So that's why I'll never forget that game mode. It's also the game where they introduced a lot of like the Warioware characters, like Jimmy, 9-Volt. Like they definitely, that's where they found their platform. Mm-hmm. And then like the touched one is my favorite, like the one on the DS.
That's right.
I love that one. That's so good. That is my all-time favorite.
I forget about
the
that
DS one
too.
is fantastic.
It feels like if I were to play one, I feel like I don't know. It feels like the DS with like the actual touch controls. That sounds like the best. It's like from what I've seen of footage, it sounds like that's the most fun, the most just intuitive, just moving stuff around on the screen.
I think it is. It is definitely like a more. I don't want to say it's like a. If you've never played a WarioWare game before, I think it can be a little much to try to understand the micro games and then also understand, like I was saying, like the way to play the character. Because like in this new WarioWare, there are some mini games that are like throwbacks to the original. So like in Get It Together, there's one where you have to plug a nose, but like in the originals, I think you had to put your finger in your nose. But this time you actually have to take the character that you're playing as and shove them into this nostril that's on screen. And so like some of that stuff, like it's almost... it's not second nature, because when I got to that, I actually messed it up. I've only gotten to play that mini game once in the new game, but I totally messed it up, and then I still used the footage in our video review anyways, because I was like, this scene is just too good. But but so for someone who's played the series before, they might be like, oh yeah, I know what to do here, but somebody else might have to do that a few times to figure it out. Or I guess plug and you see a nose, it should be pretty clear of what the instructions are, but I could see I could see it being simpler, I suppose, or even just more straightforward with the DS or even the GBA in that regard. But
it's like picking up an object and just kind of moving it,
Yeah.
Well, I suppose we should move on. I think there are only a couple little news stories that I had written down here. Apparently Metroid Prime Trilogy was made essentially by 4 people.
What? Wow.
Did you hear about that?
No.
What?
Yeah, oh gosh, I can't remember the name. Mike Wicon? I can't remember, but one of the main like ex-Retro Studio guys did an interview with a podcast, and he kind of went into some fun details about it, and he essentially said it was like mainly 4 people.
Wow.
Like just knew the game, they knew it really well, they were really intimately acquainted with it, and so they were the ones that put together Metroid Prime Trilogy.
Okay.
Which is like, where's the HD? Okay, can you make 8 people do the HD one? Like, what is it? What is it going to take? No, I know it's not how it works, but so that was pretty interesting.
I guess, I if they had all the assets and stuff, then I guess that's not the... I don't make games. I can't even, I can't say that was easy. But still, like the motion controls themselves had to be somewhat, difficult to add into the game. So that's incredibly impressive.
Yeah, no, you really would think like completely changing the control scheme, like importing it in from one game into another. Like you'd think that would be a big thing, but I don't know. That's what he said.
Whenever I hear stories about like one or 2 people, like Baldo, I think is that game that's kind of like Studio Ghibli-esque that came out that like people were hoping would be like this great Zelda game. I think that was developed by 2 people, and it came out and it has lots of I've not played it yet, so I can't speak for myself, but our reviewer had lots of issues with it, and there's some bugs and stuff, and unfortunately it didn't turn out as well as we hoped. But I still like give them props for even just being like a 2-person team and creating, you know, this game over the last I'm not sure how long they were developing it, but I imagine it was quite a lengthy period of time, and you know, that's just incredible. I can't imagine making something that massive with just yourself or you and a friend.
Yeah, it's super impressive.
No, that's crazy.
And the weird thing about it's, I mean, like I've been looking into this stuff a lot. It's kind of weird because it's like definitely, you know, it's super hard and they're putting in a lot of work, especially like these people, you know, 1 or 2 people teams, and they're often putting in way too many hours, you know, just like so much of their life. But it's funny to see how it's like the more people you have on a project, the less efficient it is, because like one person knows at all times exactly what's supposed to be going on. So it's like you look at like Eric Barone, who made Stardew Valley in like 5 years or something. It's like if you asked a bigger team to make that exact game, it probably would have taken years. You know what I mean? It's like you can't, if it took one guy 5 years, you put 5 guys on it, it's not going to take 1 year. It's going to take like 3.
Yeah, you're
know
right.
What I mean?
Yeah, you got to like teach everybody everything. You have to explain your exact vision, how you want it to be. It's not as uniform if you have that more, like many people working on it.
Yeah, exactly. It's fascinating how it's just like one person can do so much when they just have that vision. And it's always so impressive to see. Well, I mean, you know, you got all the famous ones, Meat Boy and Undertale and all that. It's just like, it's crazy.
I wonder if part of it comes down to like having a certain level of control with the series or with the game as well. Like, you know, you don't have to, kind of like what you're saying, you don't have to like spend time like answering questions or trying to help other people develop the things that you're trying to work on. Like, you know, if you just have this small team and they know what they're doing, then, or they know what their goal is, like you said, then it just gets done. Sure, it takes time, but it gets done right, you know, because I think we've seen so many games come out now that are trying to riff off of that formula, and some succeed and some don't, and it's always sad when they don't. But yeah, it's crazy to see that Stardew is still on top, and it's the team is. I mean, I'm hoping there's maybe somebody else helping out now. I could be wrong. Maybe it is still just the one.
Yeah, he's got a couple people like helping with the updates and stuff.
Good. But yeah, I just can't imagine. That's crazy. Props to anyone that makes games.
Very much. Very much.
Oh, for sure.
It just, so much of it comes down to just like, how well do you know? And that's this whole Metroid Prime trilogy thing. That's what he was saying, is just like the 4 of us just knew the game so well. Like they helped, you know, with the bones of the project, and they knew it so well that any 4 other people probably wouldn't have been able to do it that fast, but they did it. That is awesome. So cool. No, there were lots of fun little things from his little interview. Like talked about how like they crunched super bad on Metroid Prime 1. But then, like, when Nintendo realized that, they came in and, like, made sure Retro stopped crunching for Prime 2 and 3. They kind of saved them.
No way. That's so cool.
I know, right?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I love it.
I'm definitely one of those people who hasn't, I guess, fully played a Metroid game. I saw Dread like during E3, and I was very confused that it said Metroid 5. I'm like, isn't there a fourth one coming out?
Yeah, a lot of people are confused.
I'm like, did they just scrap it and go right to the next one? But I've actually even considered going back and buying a Wii U so I could play those older games again. The only one I've played, I think, is Super Metroid, because it's on like NSO, which is, you know, no problem, fun game. But they really need to get that trilogy on Switch. I imagine a lot of people are going to be very confused. I'm sure the game might have a little, like, here's what happened so far at the intro, but I want to be able to experience firsthand. I feel like there's an appreciation for how far we've come and how 4 would end up turning out to be from what 1, 2, and 3 have been. So I need that. I really do.
So I have a question.
Emulator.
For you.
Sorry, excuse me. I have a cough. Emulator. Sorry, must be some dust in here.
So I have a question then. So and there's no right or wrong answer for this. Do you feel like you would purchase Dread, or do you think you're more, or that you're still interested in Dread without being able to play, you know, the 4 games, all of the 4 games that come before it? Or do you think, like, would you hold yourself out to like play, you know, maybe like Zero Mission and Fusion or something at a later date? Like if you were able to play those first Metroid games all now, do you think that would impact your decision to buy Dread?
I'm gonna say no for the sheer fact that I didn't know Metroid had a continuous story
Sure.
until I heard people talking about Dread. I thought it was just another 2D Metroid that where he, Samus goes and blows up stuff, like just another game in the series. Like I had no idea there was a story, and I was like, oh, that's crazy. This has been going on for how long? 30 years? Like that is impressive. That is a long time for them to, make a full story for that. But no, I'm definitely picking it up without playing the other games, even if I can't. So yeah.
Wow, just jumping right into it.
It looks fun. That's just really what it comes down to. It looks really fun.
That's
I
great.
played like a lot of like Hollow Knight and Ori, so I've been really into like the Metroidvania genre.
Yeah.
And so I'm down to see what like the franchise that defined that term has for me in a new generation.
That's so good to hear that people are willing to buy it, because it means there's so much more hope for it. And there's a lot riding on it, and it's actually, I've been considering making a video about it, how it's like, it's a little scary because there's a lot of pressure on that game right now, because it's like a lot of people are being drawn to it because Metroidvanias have become a big, massive thing over the last few years, mainly thanks to indies. So now a lot of people, like you, who are like, oh, this looks great. I love Metroidvanias. Let's check out Metroid. There's a lot riding on that. Like, they have to impress people. It has to feel worth it. If you can get Hollow Knight for $15, this $60 thing, like, it's got to really wow people. And especially just for Metroid as the series, like, a lot is riding on it. And if people don't buy it, then it's going to be a bad thing. So there's so much pressure on it right now.
Yeah,
There's a thing I'd say. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
There's a thing about like this is a make or break for me in terms of Metroidvanias, is how, and I think this is going to apply to Metroid Dread, is how often am I going to get lost to a point where I don't know where to go? There have been times where I've played like Hollow Knight or Ori, and I've been so confused that I would put the game down for months at a time. I was just like, all right, I'll come back to this eventually. So if they can handle a map system that is robust to explore, but also keeps me on a, I want to say somewhat linear path, but like I always feel like I am progressing, then I think they're going to hit it out of the park. That's my one concern with that genre in general, that like that's a make or break for me every time I play one.
Yeah, I could basically guarantee there's always going to be like, I mean, even way back with like Zero Mission, like the next thing, even like the map isn't filled out, but the little dot goes over here to the empty part of the map and is like, vaguely go in this direction, So I'm sure, especially modern Nintendo, they really like to help people. So that probably won't be a problem.
And I would say, does some of those like fears or worries, does that come from playing Super Metroid for you as well?
Yeah, that one's rough.
Yeah, I think
It's
it was
easy to get lost.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, because that happened to me a lot, and I could totally see where you're coming from with that, because I think I made it about like halfway through the game, according to online walkthroughs, and I think I read that like the game was like a 10-hour playthrough or something like that, and I think I had about 10 hours into the game at that point, and I was like, what have I just been running around getting lost all the time, like just not using strategy guides? But then I went and recently played Samus Returns a couple months ago, and there's a lot of elements in there that kind of Arlo's right, like it's modern Nintendo, like they give Mario the super suit and they make him invincible at the start of a level, and they're kind of doing that in Metroid a bit, where there's an ability, I think you can correct me if I'm wrong too, Arlo, but you can use it when you have enough power or whatever, and then it'll show you if there's like any breakable walls in the area on your map. And I think there's
the scan pulse.
Yeah, and it would even show you the direction that the Metroids are in. So and Dread's being developed by Mercury Steam, right? The same team that did. Cool. So hopefully they'll implement some of those same map systems. But one thing for me is that they keep showing new trailers for this game, and I don't want to see any more
trailers. We don't need any more trailers.
It's a double-edged sword, because it's like we're all sold, right? But there are people out there who probably aren't.
Sure.
So, and who probably have no context of what Metroid is, and they're like, "Ooh, like this is just shiny and action-filled."
Yeah.
So I'm interested in learning more.
Yeah, you're right, because we do as people, we have the choice to watch the trailers or not. And I think I got an email a couple days ago from Nintendo saying like, a new Metroid trailer is finally here, and I was like, I don't stop it. Go to your room.
Week.
Yeah. Put it away.
It does look. Oh, it looks so good though. That like from like the little bits I've seen of the last two trailers, just out of the corner of my eye. Oh my gosh, it looks so good.
And it's going to be here so soon.
It's gonna be here so soon. Oh, I'm so excited. Could talk about that forever.
Oh yeah, it's next month, right?
Yeah, less than a month.
Oh wow. Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm excited. What else we got here in the news? There was that like little rumor that the base model Switch was going to drop in price a little bit, but from what I read, it was like this only applied to France. But we don't know if we don't know if it's true, and we also don't know if that is signaling a price drop everywhere else. I kind of feel like, I don't know, what are they gonna like drop the price like right before the OLED comes out? I don't know how much to believe this. It would be cool though.
I do feel so. I think it roughly translated to about a $50 price drop, roughly in France, in comparison to U.S. terms, and I kind of like that idea because I feel like the price. I guess the gap between the current Switch and the OLED isn't. It's not a lot. I think right now, like a Switch owner, if they have the extra $50 to spend, the tough thing is that, like, you know, for a kid, like that's the price of a game right there. So maybe they'll look at it and they'll be like, I'll just take the old Switch. It has a similar battery life, smaller screen. What is an OLED anyways? I mean, maybe I don't know if a kid knows what that is. You know, I can get Minecraft and some eShop dollars and Fortnite bucks instead. Sure, I'll take that. You know, so I don't know if that's enough, but my theory, and this is based on nothing, this just price drop kind of gives it a little bit more weight. But I really hope that the OLED replaces the base Switch, and eventually we just have the OLED and we have the Switch Lite, and then I would like the OLED to come down in price potentially, because I feel like, you know, like if this launches at $350 and then we get a Switch Pro someday, just hypothetically, is that going to be $450 or $500 then? Like, what is how much can Nintendo get away with charging for that? And I feel like $300 is such it's a lot of money, but it's also like something that it's a good goal to shoot for, and $350 and then maybe $400 down the road starts pushing it into that territory where it just becomes less tangible for less doable for people.
It's closer to the other like next gen consoles. Like how much is a Series S? It's like as much as a Switch or as much as a Switch OLED, and so it's kind of like I could play next gen games, or I could get this little thing that plays Xbox 360 graphics.
Right.
But it's still working for Nintendo. Like, I definitely understand. Yeah, my ideal scenario in my head is like the Switch has been out for long enough. Like, make the base model $250 and the Switch OLED the new $300. Like, that's what I would have really loved if they'd done.
I'd hope they do it across the board for sure. Like, if they were to like do them all at once. I feel like we won't see a price drop at least until the OLED's out for about a year, so they could feel it out, and whatever their software is looking like or how long the Switch is going to live from that point on is going to be a real determiner for that.
Sure, yeah, that's a good point.
Is that a word? Determiner? Is that a
determiner? I don't know, maybe, sure. Everything's a word on this podcast.
It sounds like an enemy or a character in Ocarina of Time, though, to me. I don't know why.
Determiner.
The Determiner.
Yeah. Like a Doom.
But yeah, I think just giving it a little time, I would love to see it a price drop for the sheer fact that the Switch is showing its age. You know, it's not as hip and as spry as it used to be when the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One were out. Mm-hmm. It has very strong visual third-party competition. Like I predominantly play all of my new games on PS5 versus the Switch version because I'm usually home and I play whatever I want, the highest quality version of the game.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm done. Like for a while it was fun, but I'm done making those kinds of like graphical sacrifices. I'm just gonna play on something else.
It's really tough, you know. Like we'll talk about it more. Here's another moment where I talk about the game that I'm going to talk about soon, but I'm not going to talk about it now. But this game that I've been playing recently that I just beat last night, it looks so great, and I'm just playing it on PS4, and it's incredible. But then I go back to my Switch, and I love the ability to play on the go. I love the different number of games that I'm able to play. But sometimes, like I was watching this is where it really hit me, was I was watching the PS5 showcase the other night with Liam from Push Square, who's the Push Square video content creator. And at one point I was like, dude, sometimes it feels like we're like we go out to dinner with a friend and we're eating like a really nice slice of pizza, And I don't mean to dog on pizza because I love pizza, but then your friend over here happens to be eating a burger with all of the fixings that you could ever want. They've got a plate of fries, and it will still, both of you are sad. You'll both be full off of what you ate, but the friend is, they're really enjoying their time over there.
Yeah,
And,
you really can't help but looking over at their plate.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know exactly what. Yeah, even just with the PS4, like even now the PS4 is old, but I'll still every once in a while put on a PS4 game and just be like, oh yeah, that's what games can look like.
Yeah, and that's the thing is pizza and burgers are both great for their own different
absolutely.
reasons, but you just kind of want to take a bite of their food sometimes.
Yeah,
but you don't. But you can with console games because that's not rude.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Wow, just wow. But you know what? It's time for a word from our sponsor. This episode of Arlocast was brought to you by Trader Joe's Carolina Gold Style barbecue flavored ridge cut potato chips. Inspired by some of the best barbecue in the Carolinas, these crunchy ridge-cut chips have tang from mustard and vinegar, the perfect balance of sweet and smoky notes, and a kick at the end from just the right blend of spices. One bite of these and you'll agree, these chips are good as gold. Trader Joe's Carolina Gold Style barbecue-flavored ridge-cut potato chips. Pick up a bag or two at Trader Joe's today. Okay, full disclosure, we're not really sponsored by them, but I suppose we should move on. Pokemon Oreos was the only thing I had on my list. I don't have anything to say. I just wrote down Pokemon Oreos. I don't know.
Are they just Pokemon themed Oreos?
Yeah,
like, that's just
but you got to collect them. So now you're going to get people scalping them and stuff because it's like, oh, collect them all. It's a cookie.
What has the world become where people are scalping cookies? This reminds me of when they had the Odyssey cereal. Like, that was a huge thing because it was like an amiibo in the box. Like, it's like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's come to the point where, because I feel like this wouldn't have happened back in the day. I can't tell if the fan base has just grown so large that it's inviting like these negative emotions into it, you know, and like people are out here like just trying to make a buck off of cereal and Oreos, I guess, or if the internet has just made it easier. But yeah, I swear, like, you know, if you wanted to find something back in the day, like, you know, Pokemon Oreos, you know, like if that was a thing in the 90s or early 2000s, you would just go to the store and hope to find them, and if they weren't there, maybe you'd get to take a look at the next store when you went, and hopefully you'd eventually find them. But now the internet is like, I don't know, I don't know if that's the issue, but that's just what I like to think, is that it allows us to be so knowledgeable on when everything drops, or like, oh hey, I heard that Walmart down the street has Pokemon cards, everybody run there and get them right now, you know.
And just the ease of like selling on eBay. And,
yeah, absolutely. It's like it's a gift and a curse in a way as well. And but yeah, the world, Oreos.
I'd definitely say it's like what you're bringing up, the whole scalping business is definitely new. I think it has a lot to do with like social media and such, where it's like a social one up. Like you have to have this new thing because everybody's talking about this thing, and this thing is so rare, but you have it, so that's awesome. Like, it's like that need. I remember when the Amiibo craze, I was obsessed when that was happening. Like, to the point where, like, I live in New York City. I sat outside the Nintendo World Store for about 17 hours. I think it was Villager, Marth, and this is when Splatoon was releasing on the Wii U. But there were people
I think,
in
was that
this
launch
line.
day maybe?
Yeah, this definitely was.
Oh, sweet.
And there were people like online selling Amiibos. Like, there was people, like, Marth was super duper rare, and this guy had like an industry sized box of like 20 of them, mint, to the point where people were like mad at him because he was selling them. It was quite a time, I would say. So the Oreo cookie thing, especially now with Pokemon and the whole cards debacle, it's everywhere. Like, people are gonna scalp cookies.
Just don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna happen. Just don't do it anymore. Like, make nothing limited, make nothing collectible. Just like whatever. Just put Pikachu on it. Who cares?
Yeah, and like I get too that you know, it's easy to make some extra money potentially on some of these things, but sometimes you'll look at it like the PS5. Someone will buy a PS5 for $500 or $400, whatever you want to buy, and then they'll sell it, and after shipping and fees and all that, and the headache of going through all of that, like, how much did you make? I want people that do that to really look at the numbers and see, like, was that worth it for you? Like, I'm not trying to like call people out necessarily, but think of the children. Maybe not in the PS5
call out
category.
Scalpers. Call them out. Do it.
Yeah, I know. Please,
especially
yes.
with Pokemon Oreos. Like,
yeah.
Come
Look at
on.
your life. Examine what is happening right now.
Yeah, the kids, we can eat those. Like, as adults and monsters, we have the ability to eat those. I'm an
adult monster.
Yeah. But kids deserve those first. And so please let the kids have their Oreos and eat them too.
Yeah, think of the children.
Yeah.
Be reasonable.
Hey everybody, producer Chris here. I just wanted to jump in and mention that currently workers at Nabisco's factories are on strike and asking that consumers avoid purchasing snacks from the company. I know that this conversation runs a lot deeper than the purview of this podcast, but I thought it was worth pointing out.
Well, you know what? I do believe it is time to move on to listener questions. Who's ready for some questions? Are you ready for some questions?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, let's do it.
Good.
I'm so ready.
I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready for these. They're going to knock you right in the face. Mudkip Lover 47 asks, if you could have one Pokemon be your pet, what would it be? This is a hard one. And I don't think I gave myself enough time to really think about it.
I'm curious, do you think Mudkip Lover, you said 47, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that means that there are 46 other Mudkip lovers out there, like with accounts?
Would not be surprised.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Sky, how about you go first? You got a good answer?
I've known this answer my whole life.
Oh, yes.
I'm definitely going to say Tropius. It is a 3rd gen flying grass type Pokemon that grows fruit out of its neck. I always imagined if I had this as a pet, it's massive. I can fly wherever I need to. And if I ever need any food, I could just take one of the fruits from its neck. I've thought about this forever. Since Ruby and Sapphire came out, I'm like, that's the one. That's the one I want.
I'm so glad we asked this question. That's perfect. You had it locked and loaded. That's true. That's practical in multiple ways.
That's such a good answer.
That's a great answer. What about you, Zion?
So was the question if I was so focused on the Mudkip 47 just name in general that I really spaced on the question. I think I've gathered it now. But is it if Pokemon were real, what would I pick?
Like, if you could have one Pokemon as your pet.
Yeah, I think I would have to pick probably Ivysaur, and it's really not even it's not a cool answer. It's just that Ivysaur is my favorite Pokemon, and I think those like few starter Pokemon I think make. And I know Ivysaur is the first evolution of Bulbasaur. I do understand that. Anyone in the comments, by the way. But I think those few first starters just really make excellent buddy characters, just pals, you know. But I would instantly equip an Everstone on Ivysaur. You're never turning into a Venusaur unless if you really, if that's what you want to do with your life. I could not shut that down, but I would. I just would want to be best friends with an Ivysaur, I think. Or maybe an Eevee, yeah. But just because but I also have a cat that looks a lot like Eevee already, so it's like, well, and I guess Eevee's a dog, but still, Ivysaur would be my pick, just because I love it.
That's good. Yeah, you don't get a lot of Ivysaur love, because, it's like, oh, Bulbasaur is my first, and Venusaur is the evolved version. So yeah, Ivysaur, right in the middle.
Yeah, thanks.
That's a good answer. This is difficult because it's like, I'm trying to stay away from the actual practicality, like, oh, if it could fly, but then, like, the government would shoot me down. But, like, I gotta...
But I love that at the same time. Like, Sky's answer was so realistic and smart. I don't, like, I love the idea of you eating the bananas, because that sounds wrong in a way.
Like, it's unethical. Yeah. Like, you shouldn't. You probably should. It's probably not good for you. It's probably some poison. Maybe it's poisonous. You never know. Like, it could be.
It'd be like if you had a pet chicken and you cooked its eggs every day. You know, like what's the difference? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Just don't even.
To point back at your Ivysaur comment, Sakurai likes Ivysaur. He put him in Smash.
Sure. That's why.
That's pretty nice.
So he's the one who's got the amiibo.
Actually, I have no idea why. But, like, that's the only Ivysaur love that's, like, prominent that I can think of.
That's true.
So there you go.
Well, thank you, Sakurai.
So for me, I'm trying to, like, stay away from the actual real world. Like, I'm trying to imagine that, like, in the fun way. It is... you would want something that flies. Dragonite was always a big favorite when I was a kid. Just seemed very fun and magical and could fly around. It's totally doofy, but I don't know. So I might do that. I mean, if I really thought about it, it's probably a lot. But then if you, like, there's this thing in Pokemon where, like, the Pokemon have official weights, but then, like, Pikachu can jump up on Ash's shoulder as though it's an anime thing, is, like, the little pets are just, like, perfect, and they're smart, and they don't poop anywhere, and they can hop on your shoulder. You know what I mean? Like, no pet in the real world is that cool, so that makes me almost want to just be, like, a Pikachu or something, you know? Could sit on my shoulder, shock people. So, I don't know. Maybe I will go with Dragonite, though, because the idea of flying, that would be really cool. Even though, realistically, I'd be too scared and I would fall and die. But let's go with Dragonite.
You mentioned the government, which freaked me out, because now I constantly just imagine flying on this Tropius and having a constant worry that I'm going to be blown out of the sky. So that is now a real fear that I have that I did not have before. So
you're welcome. Always got to bring the. It's always like this with like superhero. Like, what superpower would you have? There's always a caveat. It's like invisible. Okay, well, does the dirt on your skin go invisible? Does the clothes go? You know, like you got to just kind of step away from that sometimes. What's the fun answer?
I'm just gonna be here on the ground hanging out with my Ivysaur. We're both gonna look up and see you in the sky flying by, having fun, and I'm just gonna look down at Ivysaur and just be like, why can't you do that?
You know what? He's going to be like grabbing your sodas out of the fridge and stuff. So, and you're not going to get shot down from the sky. So you're going to be the winner in the end.
that is true.
Oh my goodness. Next question comes from, which is the one I'm going to do now? Next question comes from Dracon08. What's a game you can replay over and over? Xeon, start with you.
Probably Final Fantasy IV or Final Fantasy II, as it's known on Super Nintendo. That was, for me, that was my first RPG ever. It was we got a Super Nintendo when I was probably around 6, 7, 8, maybe, from my cousins. And in there was a bunch of games, most of which I don't remember, sadly. But Final Fantasy II was in there. And I ended up playing it and loved it. It was super confused. It did have it was one of the few games that actually still came with the instruction manual from our relatives, and the cover was ripped off and everything, which I still have. And I remember like reading it and trying to understand the concepts, and it all just didn't click, you know. But then we loaned the system to some different family, and then eventually years later, maybe it was like 12 or 13, I got the system back, and my save file was still on the cartridge. I remember getting stuck at a certain boss, and I actually, from that moment on, I ended up playing through the game, and I beat it, and I loved it, and the story is so deep, and there's you lose characters throughout the journey, and I don't remember for sure, but I feel like it's the first game that ever made me feel like raw emotions. And so you know, there's so many reasons for me that I happily will like reinvest myself into that game. And I've only played it to completion twice, but I've bought it on. I've bought it in every way imaginable except for the new Pixel remaster because it's not on Switch. But
what's with that?
I don't know. I feel like it's just a waiting game. Like Square's just like, we'll sell some PC copies and then we'll bring it to Switch. But But yeah, if you've never played Final Fantasy IV, anyone who's listening, or even you guys too, it's a very straightforward adventure, but there's so much heart to it, and the characters are all very interesting, and yeah, it's a good one. Obviously, I have nostalgia for it, but I'll play that game over and over any day.
Good answer. What about you, Sky?
I've been cycling through every video game I've ever played, and one game keeps popping up more than any other, and I think I'm definitely gonna go with Pikmin 2. I have put so many hours into that game, and it's one of those games because
we're best friends now.
You were born for this podcast.
All 10 Pikmin fans in the world out there, please, we have to stick together. But like the dungeon system was always something I really enjoyed. Made every playthrough seem like different, and I would just spend so much time, you know, exploring the land, grabbing as much treasure as possible. The first time I actually played Pikmin, was Pikmin 1. And there's the part where very early in the game, you have only red Pikmin, and I didn't really understand. I was very young. I didn't really comprehend the game. And I walked into the water with about 40 red Pikmin, and they all immediately drowned. And the game mortified me for years. And then I finally got back into Pikmin 2, and I love it. I can go, it's like a good book to read maybe once a year. Like, I just go back. It's just,
Dude.
always there.
Same answer. Same answer.
No way.
Exact
Like the
No, for
two?
real.
Two as
yeah,
well?
Well, see, I could say like all three of the main Pikmin games. Like I could play infinitely, and I almost want to say 3 just because it's so refined. But if I have to pick, it probably is 2 because it's so long. The dungeon thing, the slight randomization. You take a game that's already takes like 20 hours to 100%, and every time you go in, it's slightly different. I could just play it forever. That's like my number one. Play it any number of times. Yeah, pretty much once a year, probably. No, dude, we're best friends. That's amazing.
Pikmin fans got to stick together.
Sorry, Xeon.
It's okay. I know I'm already out. I've never even played Pikmin 2. I have it on the shelf. I don't think that counts though if I've never touched it. So I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I'll change that though.
You better change it before you.
If you can play the Wii version, I would say if you have the Wii version, play
that is the one I have.
It's-
Yeah.
Then yeah, that is the cream of the crop right there. It's so good.
I never did the Wii versions. I don't know why. I'm considering
good.
hunting them down, but I never did.
Is it the controls that you like about them?
The pointer for like a RTS game is a game changer. Like it's way more comfortable. You're way more reactive. I know they try to do it like with Pikmin 3 Deluxe, but like the Joy-Cons don't really hit as well as the Wii remote does. Yeah. But it's great. It's great. I adore it. You could really stop like a Pikmin from keeling off of a cliff at any point. Like it's great. That happens all the time. It's
just the fact that you can call them from like across the screen. You can call them from anywhere, basically. Mm-hmm. Well, final question comes from Chris. It is, what's your favorite genre of music? Sky, start with you.
Oh my goodness. I'm a little bit of everything. I like EDM, I like pop, I like hip hop. Right now I'm really going through Drake's Certified Lover Boy and Kanye West just dropped Donda. I know that's super left field, but I'm very into it. I like Moon. That song Moon from Donda, that song constantly on loop lately. Love it.
Good answer.
I really need to check that out. I've never been into like Kanye myself. I don't know. I was trying to think. I was like, have there been any like songs that have really hit with me? But I do want to check it out for sure. So I'm glad to hear that you liked it.
It's a good listen.
I don't know any Kanye West songs except there's the one part that's like, ooh, that's in the meme with the horse on YouTube. And I looked it up and it was a Kanye West song. That's my complete exposure.
At least you
know, with the
remembered
horse
it.
And he's up on the balcony or something. Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Yeah. That horse, the one, the meme. That's the song I like. I like that one.
Yeah, the horse meme.
Arlo.
That's my favorite Kanye West song.
I'm trying so hard to think about Kanye West horse meme, and I am pulling up a blank.
Is it Juan? It's like Juan. I don't know. We'll find it.
Sounds like you got some homework.
Yeah. Everybody find it for us. Xeon, what about you?
I go in waves. I'm often very much like a metal kid. Like since high school, I've just always listened to like metalcore, screamo, emo stuff, pop punk, just anything that kind of falls into those realms.
Screamcore, emo,
just
emo
put
punk,
core,
pop core, like, pop scream.
Death metal too, like Job for a Cowboy was like a crazy like heavy metal band that I got into back in the day because they did Pig Squeals, and I remember they released a new album and they didn't have Pig Squeals on it, and I remember my lunch table like freaked out. We were like, we can't support this band anymore.
Bring back the Pig Squeals.
Yeah, it's something. It's important. Even though the band like evolved, we just as fans of the genre and the band, we were just like, no, we can't. They betrayed
Pig
us.
Squeals or nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. You don't seem like a metalhead guy.
Yeah,
you don't quite give off that vibe.
Did you know I'm in a band though? Like I'm in a band that we're a metalcore band and I sing, which I don't like post about it very often, especially now because COVID and I live in a different state, but we still play. Like I went back this summer and played an outdoor festival with the band, but yeah,
awesome.
I know it's well, thank you. It's fun. I love hearing though that people think that I'm not like that because I don't know, personality or whatever, emotions I put out, but yeah, I love that
vegetarian
stuff.
thing, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, which was probably also like possibly ineffective. Like PETA was like very much in the forefront of like Vans Warped Tour and getting tons of like metal musicians like on board with representing the cause, and I don't really like support PETA. I'm just a vegetarian who likes animals. Like don't worry, people. But I remember, back in the day that was a big thing. But also though, I wanted to say that I've also been listening to. I shouldn't say EDM necessarily because I feel like a grandpa when I say that term because I know it stands for, is it electronic dance music, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I pretty much don't listen to anything but Porter Robinson.
Oh yeah, I still you were trying to get. I still haven't listened to the new Porter Robinson. I can't believe I haven't.
Please, I can't
believe it.
Mail you a copy if you don't listen to it in a month. That's happening. Because
I promise.
Second Sky, his festival is happening next weekend, and I am going. So if anyone's listening to this and they're at Second Sky next Saturday, feel free to hit me up on Twitter or something and say, hey, let's say hey, Let's do that. That'd be really nice. But I
his
can't
previous album, it was like my album of the year, hands down.
Yeah,
album
I remember.
Of like 3 year. It was so good.
And the full new album is out, so please binge it. I listened to like every single on repeat for weeks and weeks. And whenever he released a new one, it was like Nintendo dropping a direct for me. And I think a lot of the community in that regard. And for the most part, every song absolutely delivers in just a different way, and it's incredible. I love it so much. I can't recommend him enough. And Sky, you listen to Porter too, or?
Oh yeah, you said that, and it immediately
that
resonated
was you
with me.
that yelled.
Like, yes.
Yeah.
That squeal definitely me. Yeah, that was definitely me.
Good.
That's good. Yeah, it's hard. Okay, I do get people a lot like asking like, "Hey, talk about music." It's just hard though, because like we already talk about like the food. Is already kind of an off topic, and it's just like music is something I could do an entire podcast itself about. So that's why I don't really bring it up a lot because I know it's just going to be a whole thing. So this would be kind of like dipping into this.
I want this though.
Yeah, I do want it. So we'll do it every once in a while. That's why we're doing it now. It's perfect. For me, I do like, there's not like one specific, I don't know if anyone has one specific genre, especially because genres have all broken off into so many. So you kind of got to go with something vague. For me, it's electronic music. And I don't want to say EDM because like the dance part, it's like, it's not all dance music. So I just say electronic music. That's
sure.
If you want to boil it all down, most of the stuff I listen to these days, that's what it is. And I love it.
I guess that's the thing for me is I guess when I'm listening to it, I'm not dancing.
Exactly.
But that's it's like, do you guys think EDM is considered like the new, because back in the day I used to just say techno was everything. Like if it had sounds that were artificial, it was techno. But now I've learned that that's not the case. But is EDM just like is that the term to use for anything that falls into that like category now?
I feel like if you say that if a music buff is listening that, they're probably going to be like, no.
Okay.
But techno, I haven't heard that term.
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry.
Itself. I'm like, that sends me back to like 2006 Naruto AMV.
Yeah.
Like that is the vibe I got hearing techno.
Remixes.
Like, okay.
I'm glad to throw you back.
Smells like Teen Spirit techno remix. Yeah. I think saying just electronic music at this point is I think that's what I see fairly often.
Okay. I feel like I learned something today. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, and just look at all the stuff that I like. It's just are they using electronic instruments? Like, yeah, they just are basically all the time. I was way more into rock like in college, more traditional instrumentation, but I've just drifted away from it. It's all electronic stuff now. It's all like Panda Bear, that's good. I could talk about music forever though, so I really should just leave it at that.
Have either of you listened to Virtual Self by chance then as well?
Virtual Self.
I have not. No, I don't.
Is that a band?
So it's Porter Robinson's. It's one of his side projects, and it's straight out of. It's like a mashup between like Dance Dance Revolution 2000 beats, Final Fantasy like orchestral scores, and the branding that he uses for it is like Evangelion. It's just I think it's like a 5 or 6 album or a 5 or 6 song like EP maybe. I think he has a single or two, but they're completely different than anything else Porter does. But it's incredible. So I will send you.
That sounds really good.
I will. It's so good.
Well, now we're on to the last couple segments of the show. The first one is What You Been Playing. what you been playing?
I have been playing so many things lately. So many. Which is insane for me, because normally I feel like I'll go through waves where I just don't play a game consistently for a month or something like that. But now I'm juggling 3 things. I'm at the tail end of Mother 3. I've been playing it like not side by side, but a friend, my best friend Zach and I, we've been basically playing it together, chapter by chapter. And I'm not going to say what chapter I'm on, what number, but I think I'm on the last one. And him and I, we haven't been playing together. We've just been like playing a chapter, then texting about it and talking about our experiences. And it's been so fun. It's been like a little mini book club between ourselves. And
Awesome.
and I'm playing I'm not fluent in Japanese by any means. So we've been playing the fan translation. And I actually own a physical Japanese cartridge of the game too. So if anyone wants to grill me or even just ask what I'm doing, that's what's happening. But so I've been playing that. But then I also started playing No More Heroes 3 the other day. And
Yeah, I need to pick that back up again. I haven't played it for a while.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched your video yet, but I saw that you put one out. It was was it like an in-between or like a review in progress sort of thing?
Yeah, a review impressions.
That's right. I loved the wording that you used. I just couldn't remember. But I'm really impressed with it. I was so worried based on some of the trailers that I saw that it was really going to struggle in like the frame rate department, or I don't know, just like that the bosses weren't going to impress. And I feel like as like a No More Heroes fan, I feel like there's something like surprising me around every corner. And some of the in-between stuff is a little slow, I guess, or just like it feels like I don't always have enough money to progress to the next fight. And then I have to go grind out some random battles, and that can get a little tedious, but I'm loving it otherwise.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Do you have to play the other ones to play the third one?
I mean, Arlo, you speak on this too. Yeah. I don't think so. I think there's a lot there that if you know about the story, you will, or even just the characters. I think there's a lot there that will satisfy fans, or just even like make them happy.
I can tell that there are references that I'm not getting. But the main story itself doesn't come from like what's even going on. It's still like a self-contained kind of thing, you know?
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, like the story opens up with like
what's the real game you've been playing?
Oh, right. Yeah. So, but I've also last night I just finished it, and I did it I did it in the best way possible. I muted everything on Twitter for this game because I knew that people were going to freak out and spoil things, and so I muted. I'm playing. I just beat Resident Evil Village, and so I muted it in like as Resident Evil Village, Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil VII. I think I even like Lady oh my gosh, I can't do it either. Don't worry. I Domitrice, because is that what?
Domitresque.
Domitresque. Thank you. You're right. I've heard it like you hear it like
Domitresque.
Oh yeah. I'm not gonna even go there. You got it. You you nailed it out of the park. But I loved it. Absolutely.
And we're not going into spoilers. If anyone's thinking of turning this off, no spoilers here either.
That's fair. I think if you're a fan of the series, you know, and you're on social media, just, you know, and you've somehow stayed pure free of spoilers this long, please keep it that way. I was talking with a friend.
That's really what you need to do.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, as someone, because both of you've both beaten it too, right? You said?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think there's so many surprises around every corner, and I think that was part of the most exciting thing about the game too, was just being caught off guard, or
it's a roller coaster ride. It's an amusement park.
You're right.
It's so good.
Yeah, you really get to it's not just a ride, it's a park, because there's so much variety. And I almost don't, I feel like I'm spoiling things already just by saying that, so I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, it's so good though. Like I've been dying to get back into it and do harder playthroughs and stuff.
Yeah.
But there's just so much going on. But I loved it so much.
I'm glad.
You know, I that's definitely one of the best games I've played this year. I played it earlier this year on PS5, and it, especially like, I haven't really gotten into Resident Evil since I think towards 6 kind of made me fall off a little bit. I played a little bit of 7, but it was a little too different for me. But my favorite has always been 5, and this is the most 5 like, with like the hidden treasures and the collectibles and the puzzle solving and the overall horror elements in general. It's fun. It is a roller coaster. It does not like waver at all. There's no downtime to breathe. There's like nonstop enjoyment, start to finish.
It's so good. Yeah, it's like it's in the style of 7, so it's like 7, 8, not 9, 7, 8, 4, and 5. Like it smashed them together and ate them. It's like a weird mix of 7 and kind of 5 and 4. No, it's so good. It's so good. I could just gush about it.
Did either of you, I know I mentioned this kind of before our chat and stuff, but did either of you experience like the kind of ammo thing that I was experiencing? Like it felt like I always had like not just the right amount of ammo, but it felt like I would run out of ammo in a gun or something, and then it felt like I never had enough to reload my weapons, but I was always still surviving. Like it was
the best. I love that feeling.
Yeah, like it never feels like you have too much, so that you're not just like this unstoppable force, like you always like you have that worry about like running out of sniper ammo or even handgun ammo, and but then if you have enough supplies you can still make some just right on the fly there, it just felt like the devs really just play tested that to death and got it down, and that was so cool for me too. But
yeah, I should have played on the harder difficulty because like maybe kind of early on, but second half of the game, I was pretty overburdened with ammo, and it's that thing where like, and then you're like, oh no, now it's the super hard boss. Okay, well I got 15 grenades, so here you go. And this is kind of
sure. That's a fair point. Yeah, bosses can go down really easy if you have the right equipment, which I mean I guess is fair in any Resident Evil. Like if you just have if you're playing a playthrough with, I don't know, or if you have a rocket launcher or something, just magically, of course the boss will go down. Well, I guess I should say that always.
Like that's what I love about Resident Evil is that's a part of the replayability. Is it really rewards you for being thorough and learning the game and having all the ammo, because it doesn't cheat. And it's like, oh, you use your rocket launcher, but that only took the first quarter, and now it's in this phase. It's like, no, they have a health meter, and you have stuff to damage them, and that's it. Like if you could take them out quick, you could take them out quick. It's awesome. Well, we gotta move this along. Sky, what you been playing?
The most recent game I've played is going through a little controversy right now on the internet. I played Sonic Colors Ultimate, but I played the PlayStation 4 version of the game on my PlayStation 5. I know a lot of people who've been playing on Switch have been experiencing like really bad glitches. Like this has been in the news. Everybody's just been kind of dogging on Sega because of the whole thing. Even Nintendo in some cases, which is bizarre. But I played it on my PlayStation 4. I played the entire game in one sitting. I adored every second of it. It was one of those games where I was like, I have the original on the Wii, but I never got around to it. So I was like, okay, I'll jump into this, and I loved it. I really just like.
So you went in fresh.
Yeah, it was my first like full playthrough of the game, and I adored it. I didn't want to put it down. I literally from start to finish just sat down and played it in its entirety. I loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've still. Yeah, I never got to play it on Wii, so I'm glad that you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, no,
like it's nice to hear more and more good things about it.
I just know like this is another one of those Switch things where I'm like the hardware is potentially holding the game back, or Sega didn't properly optimize this, because all the complaints I've seen have been the Switch port, but like the PlayStation port worked flawlessly. I have had no issues. It was great.
That's a real shame. Like especially if they have a legitimately good, Sonic's got the whole thing where it's like needs more good games. They got a good game here. It's really not fair for the Switch version to kind of bring it down like that. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's like a remake of a Wii game. Like it's not even like a full remake. It's just like maybe upscaled. Like how did they not? It's the Switch. The Switch is clearly stronger than the Wii. Like what happened there? That's what I'd like to know.
That is unfortunate.
I heard some rumblings on Twitter, and I can't remember. I think John Cartwright shared the post or maybe talked about it a little bit, but somebody was doing some digging about it, and it sounds like the devs that ported the game might not have had, potentially maybe it was that they didn't have as much time to work on all of the, because apparently they did the Switch port and they did the PS4 and PS5, and I think from the research too that they're not as experienced doing Switch ports, and that was kind of like something that they just kind of that must have gotten asked by Sega, and they took it on, and so hopefully some of the issues get patched out eventually. But yeah, it's a shame, especially because the game is already running at, I think it runs at 60 on PS4 and PS5 or PS4 and Xbox, right? And then it's at 30 on Switch, and so you're like, Switch owners are already losing that. But I haven't played it yet at all. So right,
come on.
Right. But yeah,
Yeah.
hopefully the situation gets better. But yeah, it's a bummer right now. But
It's so upsetting.
Yeah.
Because the game is so fun. That's the thing. Like I going back and trying to get all the red rings within the levels because like I just enjoy exploring them. You know, it's really fun to do that. Game is short too. Like I got through it within maybe 5 hours.
Wow,
But that
awesome.
was just me beelining through the stages and such. And I was like, this is a concise, really strong experience. Like it doesn't bog. I really loved it.
Well, what I've been playing is not much. I haven't really, even since I forgot to apologize at the beginning of the episode. We didn't have an episode last week because I was out of town and I did not get to record. And in that time, I was at the beach with some family, which is pretty cool. But I
Hey.
just haven't played any games.
that's all right.
I think somewhat recently I popped on Katamari Damacy for like 20 minutes. That's about it. I've been
Wow.
watching my nephew play Lego Harry Potter and Yoku's Island Express. That's about it. It's my whole game experience.
How is Yoku's? That's like a Metroidvania, right? In a way.
It's a pinball-vania. No, Yoku's incredible. Yoku was like my game of the year when it came out.
Wow.
Oh wow.
It's super. There's a demo. Go try it out. It's really, really good. I mean, like seriously,
It's like on my list
might
of
have to.
games to play, but
it's a Metroidvania but with pinball. Like it's just, and that's such a weird thing to say, but they do it so perfectly. It's so good.
and you play as like, is it like a little a dung beetle, I guess, that just happens to have a pinball instead or something like that, or is that's the idea?
Yeah, basically, it's a little ball. Yeah, and you roll it around with the little bug and get into little pinball things, and the art's super good, and it's good. It's real good.
That's awesome.
Well, it's time for our final segment of the show. What you been eating? I will go first. I have two things that I've been eating kind of recently. For the first time I tried Costco. They've got this cauliflower pizza crust. But it's not even just the crust. It's like an actual like. I usually just get the crust and I do all the other stuff myself. But like I'm lazy, so it's nice to not have to do the sauce and the cheese and stuff. So they got this cauliflower crust, and it's really, 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 really good. And I put sausage on top, and I eat the whole thing, and I shouldn't, but I do.
It's cauliflower crust though, so
That
it
sounds
helps.
yummy. Like-
It helps
Yeah,
justify
yeah.
it, right?
It's good. Well, and like that's the thing is like usually if I'm trying to go for cauliflower crust, I'm trying to go low carb, but like most cauliflower crusts are like it's a bunch of cauliflower and rice flour, and it's not really low carb at all. But at the very least, it's not wheat, and wheat has been giving me a lot of heartburn. Rice is easier on my stomach, so it's a pizza I can eat without getting heartburn.
Nice.
And then the other main thing I've been doing is at Trader Joe's, they have gyro. Like you can get a pack of gyro meat, and I'll like fry up onions and bell peppers and the gyro meat, and I make tzatziki sauce, and it's really, 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 really good. And I'm kind of obsessed with it.
Man,
That sounds so yummy.
you're just a little monster chef over there, aren't you?
I love cooking. I love the food. I'm starving right now. Always get starving by this part of the show. Sky, what you been eating?
I actually, I can't even make ice. So like my cooking experience is extremely minimal. So like for the most part, if I'm eating something, I eat out. There's a deli around where I live. I get like a chopped cheese. If you don't know what a chopped cheese is,
What's
it's
a chopped
a New
cheese?
York City delicacy. Go to any
cheese.
deli, bodega. It's basically a sandwich on a roll with like burger meat. Like they chop it up, put it on the roll, lettuce, tomato, mayo, cheese. It's really good. I like just go to anybody at a deli, ask for a chopped cheese. You will not be disappointed. I've been eating it way too much. It's like I said, it's if you're a New Yorker, it's in your DNA. If any New Yorkers are watching, you know what I'm talking about. I say it just like that.
So it's like a burger, like just kind of chopped up, like you eat it like with a fork.
No, it's like in a sandwich though. And so instead
It's
of it
in a
being a
sandwich.
burger, it's like
Oh,
grounded
like a sub?
meat. It's
Almost.
yeah, but on a roll. You could get it on a hero. You could get it on a hero.
Oh,
as
I
well.
see.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. I'll definitely try that out.
It's really good.
What about you, Zion?
So I can't remember a lot of the things. Like last time we did this, I came so prepared. I knew exactly what I was going to say. And now it's hard to remember what I ate yesterday even. And that happens for me often. But so my girlfriend, Fallon, is an incredible chef. She cooks everything. We've gotten to the point now where like early in our relationship, I was like, yeah, I want to make food. I want to learn how to do these things. And now I've fallen off of those ideals very, very hard. And I should get back. I should fix that because that's not fair to her. But so she makes incredible meals for us all the time. But last night we just had simple grilled cheese and soup, and it was so good. And it's
Dude,
just
grilled cheese and soup is out of this world. Elaborate.
Yeah, sometimes that's just all you need, honestly.
But I will say, kind of like you, Sky, like I don't make anything. I usually, in regards to your ice comment, I forget to make ice. I know how, but I get yelled at all the time for leaving like one ice cube in the tray. But I did make ramen noodles the other day, and when I say make, of course, I just mean like I boiled water, I put ramen in the pot. But the thing that I already made mistakes there because I boiled a huge pot of water because I'm used to making pasta with big pots of water, which Fallon yells at me all the time to make sure that I use big pots and I don't use the small ones because pasta needs room to, I don't know, do its thing. But so
Breathe.
The
way people talk about food, I'm like, is it alive? Like I don't.
Right. But yeah, so I made ramen with
You're
like
hurting
a big
its
pot,
feelings. You got to give it room.
Yeah. Let it breathe at least a little before you eat it. It at least deserves that. But I completely messed up my ramen, and it was fine because I put the seasoning packet in when I had tons of water in, and all of the seasoning left when I drained the majority of the ramen broth. And,
Oh no! So you just had noodles.
Yeah, like there was. I tried to drain the majority of the water and then put the packet in, but I still had like so much water in there that it just like didn't even matter. But I managed to cook. I managed to like hard boil or what do they call that when you cook an egg in water? There's a term.
Yeah,
It's
hard
not
boil.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so I did that and that worked. I was really proud of myself. And that was good, but all of the flavor from the packet was gone, so it was just like egg and noodle and I love eggs and noodles, but it wasn't the experience I hoped. But I'll do it again and it'll be better.
You got to start somewhere. There's no shame. You got to start somewhere, you know? Everybody starts there. That's all right.
Well, thanks.
Well, you two, I think this has been a very fun show. I hope you've enjoyed yourselves.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you both so much for coming on, Sky. It's been very nice to meet you and talk about stuff and how we love Pikmin too. And so I definitely hope you'll be coming back on again sometime.
Oh, for sure. Just let me know. I could talk about Pikmin for days. It's
See, that's all you
Careful,
gotta say.
careful
That's all
now.
anyone has to say. And then you just got an open invitation forever.
Yeah.
And Zion, it was very nice having you on again.
Yeah, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure, and it's so easy to talk to you, and you too, Sky. By the way, I of course will be honest. I didn't know who you were going into this either, but I followed you on Twitter now, and I want to be friends. You're so nice and just
We're
sound
all best
honest.
friends
And,
now.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is so
I gotta
fun.
do the same. Yeah, I gotta get back to the follows.
We're all best friends
This
now.
is so great. You're both awesome. I say it just like that.
We're gonna be all
thanks.
getting chopped burgers or chopped cheese together.
Chopped cheese. You gotta say it like this. Like when you go to the deli, you gotta say, "Let me get a chopped cheese." You gotta just roll it. Like, "Let me get a chopped cheese." They'll know
Let me get a chopped
immediately.
cheese. Like you
saying
just
it.
assume they know what I'm talking. Let me get a chopped
They
cheese.
will immediately know. They probably ask you what kind of cheese, but that's it. Just let me get a chopped
We
cheese.
don't have
It'll be
delis
great.
here. Is the thing. I don't know, like just like the way that you would consider a deli. I don't think we have that. A deli is the meat counter at the grocery store.
If you're ever in the East Coast, like,
Well, it sounds like Arlo and I, we need to get out of the smoky, warm area. We need to go get some rain, and then we're gonna play Warioware, all three of us together.
Yeah.
You guys can teach me all about Pikmin, and then we'll just eat chopped cheeses all week.
bingo battle. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Oh yeah, I've never really truly done bingo battle like with other people. It'd be so much fun.
I love bingo.
And Zion will get the chopped cheese, hold the burger.
I'll just. Hey, I'll bring my own impossible meat and be
Yeah,
like,
can
hey,
you chop
you guys
up my impossible?
Can you throw this on the grill? Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you guys wave at the imaginary camera and say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye,
everybody.
Bye.
Thanks for-
Have a good
goodbye.
day. Bye. And that is it for another episode of Arlocast. It feels good to make a new best friend. We made a new best friend today. Another thank you to our guests Sky and Xeon. Be sure to follow at Arlocast on Twitter for updates and to submit questions. This episode was edited and produced by Chris Jones. All the music you have been enjoying was created by Northman. The Arlocast logo was created by Mario Castañeda. Links to all socials, channels, etc. for all guests and artists, along with an address for business inquiries, can be found in the show notes. As with all things I do, I am supported in part by my Patreon patrons, so an extra special thank you to them. Thanks again for listening, and we will catch you next time on Arlocast.
I hope you get lots of sleep tonight. Goodbye.